Hello and welcome, this is AgentXP, and welcome back to another semi-author playthrough. This is my 11th release on trle.net, and this one has a difference. This one was part of a team project, and it was released for the 2018 Tomb Raider Level Editor Advent Calendar. The Lara's Level Base Tomb Raider Level Editor Advent Calendar is a highlight of every December, and each year there are custom levels released, and there are also objects and textures and recipes and lots of other fun things to check out. A bit of background about this level: I contributed some of the textures for this pack, and I also had the level first, so I actually started off the building for this level, but it's not the area in which Lara starts. So one of the other builders made this awesome looking forest section that Lara starts in. So we have some beautiful winter wonderland vibes going on here, and we're going to traverse through this initial forest section. The game has undergone a couple of changes since its initial release, so I believe there have been 2 further releases of this level. So if you played the original release right back when it was in the Advent Calendar, then you may find a couple of differences in this video. I certainly did, so I practiced it through before making this video because there are some differences. So we're going to slide down this slope, and we find ourselves in another beautiful room, and this room is full of icy cold water. So we want to be careful to try and touch the water as little as possible, because Lara is going to take damage if she steps in this water. Ooh, that was close. Let's step back, do a running jump, and it's possible to get through this with only a smidge of damage. So as you can see there, I took a very small amount of damage, and we jump across the water and find ourselves in this area. And we can hop up into this gap and find ourselves a movable block, and we can push this out off the ledge, and this will allow us to further move it in the room below. So if we drop down off the block, you may notice that Lara has a different animation to normal. So she steps backwards a small amount after dropping off a ledge, and this looks kind of cool, although if you're someone like me who likes to do a lot of rolling off ledges and grabbing the edge, it does get a tiny bit annoying after a while, but it totally looks cool, and it makes this Lara model feel quite different. It's also worth noting that this is a young Lara level, so there are no weapons, and it's a mostly peaceful level. There is just a really cool magical forest to explore. So as you can see there, I pushed the block into that hole, and it opened a door for us in the other section, and we can climb up here and use a switch. And as we keep running across the tile in the centre of the room there, we keep getting a camera view, and this gives us a bit of a preview of an area that we're going to climb to later. So we can run into this small cabin area, and this makes a nice contrast from the cold, icy forest. It's a nice, warm, cozy cabin with a fire. If we look at this floor tile, you may notice that it's slightly differently coloured from the rest of the room. However, if we try pressing action at the edge of it, nothing happens. But if we run up to this bookcase, we will find a hidden book switch. This causes the suspicious tile to lower into the floor and retract, and we can then drop down into this hidden basement area. So we can run around and explore this fairly vast basement area, and there are 2 things here that we want to look for. The first is a crate full of grain, and if we push this forward it will reveal a switch. So we can throw the switch, and this will open a door at the other end of the basement. And if we run over to this pile of straw, we can pick up another frog. Now these frogs, I believe, are small medkits in this level. So we can run towards the exit door. And a small bit of a background trivia. This section that we are currently in was designed by Law Raider or Law the Gamer. In team projects such as this, it's always quite fun to work out which builder built which section. So, like I said, this is a Law Raiders section, and it began from the cozy room with the book switch, and the room we're in now was also built by Law. So we're climbing this ladder, and when we get to the top, we can do a backflip and grab. The reason you want to grab is so that Lara doesn't hit her head on the ledge above, and we can also grab the ledge behind us. And here, as you saw, we can open some double doors, and we find ourselves inside another wooden cabin. And there is a sneaky key on the floor, so we want to make sure to pick that up because that opens a door on the floor of the room below. And you may notice the monkey bars above, so we're going to want to wait just a moment before jumping up to grab those. If we do a running jump over to this ledge, we can claim the first of 3 secrets in this level. Now originally there was only 1 secret in this game when it was first released, and it was actually in my section of the level, but this has subsequently changed and there are now 3 secret pickups. So there's a small crucifix necklace, which is a secret item, and there are 3 of those hidden around the level. So drop off the monkey bars and we can push open these double doors, and here there is a pickup item. So pick it up. It looks like a glass jar, and that is in fact what it is called in the inventory. So we can exit this small ornate section, which I believe was a later addition to the level. I don't think that was there in the original release. And if we climb onto this ledge, we can place the golden key in this keyhole, and this opens up a door into another icy section. Now, I have been guilty of running around this room for a very, very long time and missing the obvious. So if we come to this ledge, it looks quite sloped, but Lara can actually stand on it, and we can pull ourselves up onto this ledge and use the monkey bars above. So, as I mentioned, I was stuck in this room for quite a long time because I didn't think you could stand on that slope. So that is a quite sneaky and nice ledge there. So it's worth seeing what Lara can stand on in the room. So from this corner we can do a run, jump and grab to this corner pillar. And we can also run, jump and grab to the next pillar. As you're doing this, you'll need to be mindful of the low ceiling on that previous ledge. And we can also do a run, a jump and grab to reach this ledge. And we can push in this ornate looking switch, and this will trigger a magical light beam in the middle of the room, and this acts as a teleport. So run into the beam and we will be transported to somewhere else in the level. So I'm not sure where this is, but it's a magical icy place. So we'll want to follow the icy passageway, and it curves around a fair bit, and then we will emerge in a new area. So we will find ourselves in a large cave, and as the camera pans down, we can see a cool smoking chimney. I absolutely love that effect. It is amazing. And here we have a wooden cabin. And as you might imagine, we're going to need to find our way inside this cabin. Once we regain control of Lara, we're going to need to find a way to climb, and if we have a look around on our right, there is a slightly lower ledge that we can stand on, and we can use this to follow an icy trail up the side of the cave. So hop up the icy rocks and we'll find a way to the overhanging ice that adjoins the house. So from this we can do a running jump, and we can land on the balcony at the front of the house, and we can push open the doors and go inside. So after breaking and entering, if we run a little further inside, we will be greeted by a friendly owl. So we need to keep an eye on this owl, because later on he might help us with something. So if we run over to this trapdoor and press action, Lara will fling it open, and we can drop down into the ground floor of the house. I wonder how people get between floors in this house. There don't seem to be any stairs. Maybe they jump up the ice every time they want to go upstairs. So let's grab the items on this pedestal, and then we can exit the house as the door will open. And as we run to the exit door, the owl will follow us, and we're going to want to see what he drops, because he has an item that we might find useful. So as the camera pans around, the owl comes out of the house, and we're going to want to make our way back to him as he puts down a key on the wooden deck, and we're going to need this key in order to return to the main forest area. So turn around and we can go back and pick up this useful item. As we do, the owl will fly past us, pushing Lara out of the way there. That's kind of funny. And we're going to want to now follow the owl and exit the area. And I don't believe we're going to see the owl again, but he has done his work, he has helped us, and given us the key that we need to exit this area. So if we run back to this pedestal with the candles, on the other side there is a keyhole next to this door. So if we place the key, we will be able to enter this small room. And if we use this crowbar switch, this will cause an item to appear on the pedestal behind us. So use the crowbar, and we can now turn around and we can see a glow coming from the pedestal. And if we step on the pedestal, we can claim an item, and this is some magic dust, and we're going to need this later on in the level. So we can run back into the teleport beam, and we will be transported back to the area in which we were previously. We're going to want to make our way back through the basement area, and then we can go up this ramp, and we can grab the edge of this ledge and return to the room above. So yeah, let's climb up on this side and pull up, and now we can use some of the items that we collected in the previous area. So the magic dust we're going to keep until later, but the marbles need to be combined with the glass jar, and place this in the puzzle hole, and this will cause a pole to appear in the room outside. And don't ask me how this works, it's just Tomb Raider logic. So we can come outside into this room, and Lara can climb the fireman's pole, and when we reach the top we will be able to explore a brand new area. As I mentioned previously, this level is a collaboration between 5 different builders, and I think it turned out very well, especially considering we didn't have a whole lot of time to work on this level. The time frame for completing this was pretty tight, so I think we started working on it sometime in November, and it got finished by the end of December, so I think for a level that is fairly substantial, that is pretty good going. So we're back in another beautiful open forest area here, so let's just run around and appreciate the scenery for a second. And if we look up, we can see the roof of the castle area that we've just emerged from, and we can continue to explore further. So yes, considering the short amount of time that we had to work on this, I'm pretty proud of what we managed to create here, especially some of the beautiful environments. So hopping up the slope, you can see there is a pillar behind, and I'm just checking this out. I thought there might have been a medkit on here, but there isn't. But we do get a really cool view of the castle behind us. Whoops. Let's hop back up the slope, and we can traverse through another cave. But we need to be very careful in this cave. So when you hop to this block, you need to stand still. If you panic, you will get run over by the boulders. And it's very easy to panic because it looks as if the boulder is going to roll and squash you. But if you stay put on that tile, you will be safe. So we can slide down into another new area, and here the Nutcracker theme plays. We are greeted with a cool flyby showing a large wintry area. So some more background information. We are now entering a part of the level that was built by yours truly. So the wooden house in this area was built by me. And the forest at the other side of those wooden doors was also built by me. Also, if we look to our right, the castle style area on our right was built by Tomb Raider XII or Tomb Raider 12, and that area was built by him. And the front part of this wooden house was built by me, so I left the small section at the back in case anybody wanted to add to it. So we can drop down into this snowy valley, and I absolutely love running around in this area. So there are a couple of things that we can do in this area, but first of all, we're going to want to head around the house and find ourselves one of two passageways in the rock. And we can see here a tunnel, so we're going to head down this and across this gap. Whoops. Of course I fell in the hole. I'm recording this. I don't fall in the hole normally. And we run into this passageway, and we can see in this icy hall there is a gremlin from Tomb Raider 5. And at the end of this hallway there is a movable box. And we're actually going to want to approach this from the other side, as we'll need to push it into that hallway. So dodge the goblin. A fun fact, that goblin was not in the original release version of this game, so I'm not sure why they decided to add a goblin, but they did. So you'll have to run around that little guy. He can get a teeny bit annoying, so watch that he doesn't start to have a tantrum and punch your ankles. So push this movable box into the hallway, and then we can approach it from the other direction. And you may notice the back of the house looks a tad different to the front, and that's because I left the back wall in case people wanted to expand the building further. So the actual house and the interior was built by me, and the back wall was built by somebody else. And let's make haste and leave the room before our goblin friend decides to start punching our ankles. So we can pull this box into the room. I don't think our goblin friend will follow us into this hallway. So Lara can pull the box out, and we will then need to use it to stand on in the room, and that will allow us to reach some of the higher ledges in that icy hall. So pull the box one more time, and then we should be able to climb on top of it. So jump up, and we can now reach some of the ledges, and there are some matches on this ledge, and these are essentially flares, so it might be quite useful to pick these up if you want some flares. And now we can jump through the cobwebs, and we can run along this ledge, and we can do some more ledge hopping. And you might see there on your right there is a jump switch, so try grabbing to reach this ledge so that Lara doesn't hit her head on the ceiling, and then we can use the jump switch. And if we turn around, we can see a rope. So let's jump to the ledge on our right. I think that's the best place from which to jump to the rope. So we can do that, and then we can climb to the top of the rope to stop Lara from swinging too much, so that we can align her, and then we should be able to reach that ledge on the far side of the room fairly easily. It must be said, I do love this room. It's very atmospheric. I love the shape of the ceiling, and I really like the icy floor. It's very atmospheric. So let's build up a bit of momentum. Let's swing through the mist and take a flying leap onto this small roof area. Once on this ledge, we can grab an artifact. Now, this is to be placed on the wolf statue next to the entrance gate. Whoop, let's dodge that little dude. I'm just going to take a quick look around first. So don't step on that fireplace at the end of the room, because it is deadly. As you can see, it looks quite hot. There are hot coals cooking the cauldron, so don't step in the fire. Otherwise Lara's feet will get toasty. So let's leave this room. And as I was saying, that artifact is to be used on the icy wolf statue next to the entrance gate. And speaking of wolves, if we run past the back of the house and we see this small sheltered area, there is a snow wolf asleep in this area. However, don't worry, he won't wake up and attack us. In fact, all of the animals in this level are peaceful, aside from the mischievous goblin. So before we use the artifact that we found, we're going to want to run over to the castle style area on our right, and if we look at this pillar we can see a switch, and this switch is timed, so we're going to want to be fairly hasty, run around to the other side, and we're going to want to jump and grab this sloped ledge, and then do a backflip on the pillar behind us, and then we're going to need to do a run, jump and grab to climb on top of this pillar, and very quickly do a running jump to the balcony on our right. And as you can see there, we had just enough time to complete that task before the fire reignited. So we can now jump and grab this small balcony, and we can use this jump switch, and this will open a door to our right. So let's drop back down to the ground and continue to explore this snowy open area. I do love this section. So we can see here there are some pillars, and in order to reach those we're going to need to return to the ledge on which we first entered this area. So run towards the house. Whoops, a tree. And you may be thinking, well, this is a lovely peaceful area, but it's a village. I wonder where all the people are. And this question may be answered later in the level. So we can backflip off the roof of the house and reach that pillar, and that will allow us to run, jump and grab this ledge, and we're now at the side of the house, and this is the ledge we were standing on when we first slid into this area. So from here we can do a running jump to this snowy outcrop, land on this icy ledge, and then we can hop up the slope and jump to some of the other pillars. So we can do a run jump and grab this higher pillar and turn around and do another running jump here. We could probably have cut straight across to the pillar on our right, but I'm just making use of all the platforms here. So jump to this pillar, and now from here we can run, jump and grab into the hallway that we opened. And if we run around to the left we can see another item here. So if we run, jump and grab, we should slide into this gap and grab the artifact, and this will allow us to enter the cabin. Whoops, that's the ledge pedestal bug there. So Lara's hands don't reset after she picks up an item, so she won't always grab at the edge of a ledge after she's picked up an item from a pedestal. It's a known Tomb Raider 4 bug. Some levels have it fixed, but this one doesn't. So we can place the artifact and we can go inside the house. And I made the interior of this house as well. And I was really pleased with this. I love the cozy stove. So if we look behind us, we can see a ladder, and this will allow us to reach the upper floor of the house. So climb on up, and when we reach the top of the ladder, we can do a backflip, and we should land safely on the floor behind us. So take a look around, and there is something we need to pick up in the top room of this house, and we can actually run through the raggedy curtains at the end, and if you press action, Lara will push open the shutters and we will find ourselves on a balcony, and I love the view from this balcony. It's really cool in my opinion. And the item that Lara picked up was some Matryoshka dolls. So these are Russian dolls. And this is in fact only half of a puzzle item, so we're going to need to find another Russian doll. And if you've ever seen Russian dolls, you will know that there are different sizes and all of the dolls will fit inside a single doll. They're really cool. They all open up and you can slot each doll one inside the other. And I really love these puzzle items that were designed especially for this level, as it's meant to be set in Russia. It is a Russian fairy tale themed level. And as the gate opens there, we can see a fox who is there to greet us. And the camera pans around and we see a snowy forest. And there is a mysterious building on the horizon. And we can see here a frozen snowy lake, and the deer scampers across the lake, and here we can see a campfire, and we're going to need to find a way to light that later on. So let's traverse through the snowy forest, and we can see there in front of us there is a lamp, and this was inspired by Narnia, so anyone who's read the Narnia books may recognise the concept of a snowy forest with a lamp in it. Yes, I was thinking of Narnia when I built this. So we can say hi to the deer, and then let's go towards the frozen lake. So make your way back towards the lamppost, and if we pass this snowy pillar, we will emerge in a open area, and here we can see a frozen lake. And if you look downwards, you can see that there is actually quite a lot to explore underneath the ice. So we're going to need to find a way down there, and in order to do that, we're going to have to grab a torch and burn that campfire, which is going to open a passageway underneath the ice. So let's run over and say hi to Mr. Bear, and he is peaceful, he is not going to hurt us, and we can take a look around in this snowy area, and there aren't any items to pick up, so let's run back towards the lake. Next, we are going to want to make our way back to the pillar that we had to avoid in order to enter this area. And if we run to the higher bit of snow, we can jump to the top of this pillar and claim another frog. Now, fun fact, this was originally the only secret in the game, and that was added by yours truly. And another bit of trivia, this house was not in the original version of the lake that I built. This was added in afterwards, and we have to prize an item off the outside of this house that we're going to use in just a moment. But before we leave, we're going to want to make our way around the side of the house, and there is a small graveyard area here, and from this grave we can collect the second secret of the level. Now I have to confess, I don't really think the golden turrets on this house really match the thatch and the wood, but that's just my opinion, so let's run across the lake. And if we look to our left, we can see a frozen waterfall. And if we run to the left, we can see a small hidden hallway. And it's here that we need to place the gilded plate that we prized off the side of the house. So climb into the gap and a door will open. And before we enter this area, I am actually going to turn down my music volume because there are vocals in this next bit of music and I'm not entirely sure whether the copyright on YouTube is going to like this music, so I'm going to turn it down. But as we climb up the ladder, we will find ourselves in a beautiful Orthodox church building, and if we climb up behind the altar, we will see here a small chest of drawers. And what we're going to want to do here is we need to place an artifact, but we still have to find the other half of it. So you may remember the Russian dolls that we picked up earlier, and if we move this pushable item to one side, we will find a final Russian doll. And this is the largest Russian doll, and we're going to need to combine the items, and the other Russian dolls that we found earlier will fit inside this larger Russian doll. So it's possible to climb up on this ledge, but we're first going to want to place the Russian dolls, and we're going to do that on the chest of drawers behind the altar. So drop back down and let's run back there. So we can avoid all the broken benches and climb back up here, and we will need to combine the two items in our inventory. So scroll along and we have small matryoshka, which we can place inside a large matryoshka and then place it on the table. So we're now going to need to make our way back to the wooden boardwalk that we were on a moment ago and grab the ledge above us. Placing the Russian dolls activated a rope on the ceiling. Oh, I don't know what's up with the camera there, that's a bit strange. So we can trigger this tile, which is actually a breakaway tile, and you may be concerned and think, oh no, I can't reach the rope, but actually it's kind of in the way. You don't need it to grab the rope, so trigger it and let it fall away, and then we can grab the rope. And then we can swing and grab this jump switch on the other side of the room. And that is going to trigger a door to our right, and that will open and allow us to grab a torch. So pull the switch and drop to the ground, and then we can go and claim the torch. And it'll then be time to exit this beautiful area. I really love the atmosphere in this room. It's very well done and the textures are really cool as well. So drop back down the ladder and we can make our way past the barrels and back out of the warmth of that church into the open icy lake area. I am now going to turn my music volume back up as we no longer have vocals which might cause copyright issues on YouTube. So I'm going to run back through the snowy forest, back past the Narnia lamp, and we can jump over the fox. And you may be wondering, where am I going and where are we going to get the fire in order to light the torch? So there was fire in the church, but it was too high for us to be able to reach. So we need to come to the stove inside the hut, and this is where we light our torch. So we can now run back to the frozen lake with our lit torch, and it's finally time to light that campfire and explore what lies beneath the frozen lake. So make your way back to the lake and we can run up to the campfire, and I'm going to try and stand on the edge of the tile. I don't know if this is an instance where Lara can get set on fire. The fire only goes on for a brief moment and it melts and cracks the ice, which falls away, and this allows us to drop down into this hole. And it's worth taking the torch with us. I don't know if we strictly need it, but we can take it with us, so I'm going to. So drop down into this icy passageway and we will find ourselves underneath the ice, and we're now in the depths of this frozen lake. We could drop safely onto that previous pillar, and I'm not entirely sure what the wooden banister object was doing on top of it. I built this area and I didn't place that there, so it almost seems like it was placed by accident, but that's a bit strange. So what I did was I dropped down to the ground, albeit probably not in the safest fashion. I took a bit of damage, and I threw the torch down on a bit of ground that was free from water, and what I'm doing is making my way back up to this icy alcove, as now that my hands are free I can pick up the final secret of the level, and we can then make our way back to where we dropped the torch. So jump off that. Let's be careful not to get stuck on the slope there, and we can grab the torch. Oh dear, can I pick it up? Yes, I can. The ceiling is just high enough there. So let's run through this cold water. Unlike the shallow water in the previous area of the level, it doesn't cause us damage, so that is okay, but the icicles do cause damage, so do be careful to dodge those. We now find ourselves in a huge ice cave, and this is the final area that I built for this level. I built this cave and the castle building on our right, and we can see a bit of hazy, snowy light coming in through the roof, and we're going to toss our torch down somewhere on the ground, and we're going to hop up this icy slope. Now the keen-eyed among you may have noticed these handholds, and they're icy and shiny, and they do stand out a fair bit, and these will allow us to climb the side of the building. And once we get to the roof, we can find ourselves a hidden switch, which will open the ice doors on the front of the building. And let's throw the switch. Now, a final fun fact about this level: I originally intended this area to be expanded a lot more, and had I had the level set for longer, or had I had longer to work on it, I would have made lots of traps and puzzles inside this ice palace, but as it is just a single room. And as you can see here, there are sort of archways going off, and I kind of designed these as corridors that could be expanded, but due to time constraints, this is just one room. But nevertheless, it's a cool room, and we can save our game, and we can see here the old man that Lara has been searching for. And you may or may not have read the story for this level, so Lara has been trying to meet up with this old man, and he will help us with something here in a moment. And this may answer our question as to why there is nobody in the village. All the people seem to have vanished. So I'm going around lighting all these torches, and I'm not sure that Lara lighting these actually does anything, and I double checked after this playthrough and discovered that if you don't light them, when you give the old man the magic dust, they light by themselves. So I think they are there for effect, and I don't think Lara lighting them actually makes any difference to the gameplay. So we're going to give the old man the magic dust, and he's going to chant some kind of spell, and this is going to summon the ice fairy. So the camera pans round, a magic glow appears, and the Ice Fairy will be summoned, and she is going to help us with something outside the palace, and we're going to have to climb back out of the frozen lake in order to find out what that is. So there is the Ice Fairy. She has been summoned, and the camera pans back out of the palace, and we should now have control of Lara once again. There's the Ice Fairy. Now, fun fact, when I originally built this area, the Ice Fairy was entombed inside an energy beam, and the point of coming in this area was to free her. So rather than being summoned, she needed to be freed, and I was originally going to put an evil bear that was guarding her, and Lara would have to trap the bear somehow in order to free the Ice Fairy. But as I said, time constraints, I didn't manage to expand that area as much as I would have liked. And the old man was added to that section later on. I don't think that object was in the WOD when I had the level, so he's quite a cool object. He's very detailed. So we're climbing out of the frozen lake, and we can see there what I think is a torch bug from dropping the torch on the floor, and that might actually be why there's a wooden pole there, so it looks like a torch has been lit. And we're now going to get a concluding flyby, and we can see there Mr. Bear has transformed into a human being, and the fox has transformed into a girl, and the camera continues to pan around the house, and the wolf will soon come into view, or what was the wolf, and we see that the wolf is now a man as well. So all of the animals in this area have now changed into humans, which is really cool. They were obviously put under some kind of spell and turned into animals, and now they have been freed and returned to human form. Except that deer. I'm not sure if that deer is meant to be a human. So that is the end of the level. That was another winter forest. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this semi-author playthrough. As I said, I was only one of the builders who worked on this level, but it was a very cool project nevertheless. And I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please consider liking and subscribing. And if you do subscribe, please do click the notification bell so that you're notified when I upload future videos. This is AgentXP. Thank you for watching. TTFN.